90 Day Fiance. Is this something you guys love watching? My wife and I do watch this show. It's one of the only shows we'll watch. We're going to talk about that show coming up. What's happening, guys? So, this show 90 Day Fiance, like I said, it's one of the only shows that my wife and I will watch. It's only because we ourselves have gone through that process, the 90 Day Fiance process. And I can honestly tell you that it does not work the way that they portray it on the show. We're going to talk a little bit about this show. Let's start off with some of these couples. First, we got Paola and Russ. Okay, huh?
Paula.
What?
Paula.
Paulin.
Paula.
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 Paula. Paula. Okay, Paula. Paula and Russ. Seemed like they were an awesome couple from the beginning, and I think Russ is still a pretty awesome guy. He only wants the right thing to be done, when it comes to him and his relationship and his wife. She, on the other hand, in my opinion, she's looking for certain other things. So she took, basically, there's sacrifices that have to be made on both parts. She made the sacrifice with her life to come here to the United States to be with Russ. Russ made the sacrifice by leaving Oklahoma to go to Miami so that she can pursue a modeling career. During that career, or so-called modeling sessions, whatever that she was doing things that Russ wasn't, well, he didn't agree with. And I have to, I actually have to, I have to agree with Russ on this one. I don't think I'd want my wife taking her clothes off for anybody. I mean, it's your wife. So now here we have these last couple of how do I want to say it? These last couple of episodes where now there's obviously they're not hitting it off too well. She seems to be putting an awful lot on Russ, and he's putting a lot on her. Here's the deal with the shows, man, and that's just this is the way it's done. Okay, they turn everything into something bigger than what it has to be on these shows because they want and they need it to stay interesting so that you're going to go back and you're going to check out the next season or the next episode is coming. So, do I think a lot of the scenes are scripted? Yes, they are scripted. They have to be. Because a lot of things that these couples are going through are things even my wife and I never experienced. Now, we don't have cameras on us, but still, the things that they argue about and what they're going through, it has to be scripted material. We're going to move on from these two. You got Molly, is it Lewis? Luis. Luis now, he's a totally different, that's a whole different case. I think Luis, it could very well be one of those deals where he may have come over for the wrong reason. He obviously did not want to take the responsibility to, when it comes to children. And like that father figure type thing, stepdaddy, I just don't think he got the party out of him yet. He still wants to party down. So that whole thing there, I kind of felt bad for this Molly, only because it does take money to make all this possible. And when you're involved with somebody that is a certain way and they come into the country and now they're a totally different person, they're not the same person anymore, yeah, that would be kind of hurtful. But once again, it could be scripted. Moving on to, we got Pedro and Chantel. Chantel is a mommy and daddy's little girl. That's how I portray her. That's how I see her. she goes to mommy and daddy just about everything. And mommy and daddy, because they don't want Chantel being treated a certain way, and I honestly don't think that Pedro was treating her badly. It's just that when you do come from a poor country, you want to help your family, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But supposedly he had been going behind her back, okay, and sending lots of money to his family when Chantel has an issue with that. And not only does Chantel have an issue with that, but mommy and daddy have an issue with that. When you start involving your whole entire family, it seems to me that Pedro doesn't really have much of a chance because you got the whole family coming down on you. So they want to try to make it right. They ask Pedro, they ask Chantel, come to our home for a dinner. They go to their home for a dinner. They all sit down. Pedro has his sister there. Where is she? Where are they from?
Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. He brought his sister over. And his sister, I don't know how to take her. I really don't know where her mind is at. It's really hard to say. Once again, it could be scripted. Just to make it a little more, throw a little more wood on the fire. Or gasoline. In this case, it was gasoline. If you watch that scene where they're sitting at the table having their dinner and they're talking, and Mama, she has to bring up to Pedro's sister about her and Chantel with their relationship on how do you treat Chantel in her home. That kind of got things moving along there in the wrong direction. And I guess Chantel's brother said something. Pedro didn't like it. He said he was just defending, I guess, his sister. And in return, if you look in the video, you see Chantel's brother throwing food in Pedro's face. And that's what started the attack. Basically, Pedro pretty much lunged over the frickin' table and he attacked her brother. I would have done the same thing. You throw food in my face, I'm coming after you. So I think, in that situation, so far, out of, in my opinion, so far, out of these three couples, it is setting a bad example for immigration for the 90-day fiance process. It's not setting a good example at all. How do you say his name? Nicole and Azan. Once again, I believe some of that is scripted. It's to make the show a little more interesting. They keep you on the edge with Azan as far as why he was not permitted to go back into the United States. Okay? I'm not saying that this stuff may not be true, because it may be true. But I still believe a lot of it's scripted, and they keep it that way. They keep the suspense and the like like scratching your forehead and wanting you to come back for the next episode. She needs, I think, in my opinion, Nicole is kind of baby-like. She needs to grow up a little bit, and she just, I want things done and I want them now. I want everything now. She wants it to be that way. Enough said about them. I'm pretty much done with them. This is interesting, guys. Now, I don't know if any of you guys even watch this show, but if you do, you know where I'm going with this. Annie and David. Now, what's up with David? What's up with this guy? First of all, through any process of bringing your sweetheart, into the country, you have to be able to support them. What is up with this guy? Ever since this show started, he hasn't had a job. I mean, the guy says he has a master's degree, right? A master's degree in what? Not working? I mean, seriously, I don't know. It's hard to, where is his mind? Is this something also that was thrown in to the show to make this a little more interesting? Because, honestly, guys, if you have watched other seasons of 90 Day Fiancé, they were never like this. it seems like they have really beefed things up with this show, and um, I don't. That's how I see it. From the time it first aired, when was that? A couple years ago.
Yeah.
Up to this point, it seems like things are a lot more intense, and there's a lot more going on with these couples that, in my opinion, just should not be happening. It's just not. These things are not normal for this type of in real life, real processing. Going through each step. This is just not normal. So here's a guy that's, what is he, 40? 40 some years old? Of that?
Plus,
No, David is not. He's in his 40s. That's what I said.
I don't know.
He looks older than me, and I'm 51. What is up with this guy not wanting to work? So, as far as Annie, I feel bad for the girl because, she came over here wanting to start a family, wanting to be with the man that she fell in love with. He supposedly owes her family tons of money still for
Dowry.
for
Dowry.
what is it?
Dowry.
The dowry. Like 10,000?
15,000.
15,000 dowry or something like that. Whatever. Yes, folks, in some countries it is different. You have to actually pay the family. You have to pay the family for their daughter to be your bride. Does it work the same for a man? If it's their son? I don't know.
I have no clue.
But David's attitude is, I want us to move into a warehouse because we're basically being evicted from the home that we're in. We're going to move into this warehouse. It doesn't have a kitchen. You have no way of cooking anything. But at least we got a roof over our head. Now, if you were Annie, would you accept that? Probably not. And I can't say as I blame her. She is now threatening to go back to her own country, which I can't blame her. If you have somebody that really loved you, okay, they would do anything and everything to make sure you had what you needed. Okay, it may not be perfect, but they're going to do everything in their power to make that happen. David, on the other hand, doesn't seem like he has even. I don't. I can't even explain the guy. He just doesn't work. He doesn't do anything. Once again, that could also be part of the show. Just to beef things up, to keep it more interesting for you to come back for the next episode. That's just how it is. So now you got George and Anfisa. Anfisa, it all started out with her. She's from Russia. She comes over here. And everything that they're showing you, it made it look like this girl was just a gold digger. She was in it for the money. I want. You're not providing what you said you were going to, therefore, I might as well go back to my country. So now everybody sees this girl as a gold digger, and she's just here for the money and fame, basically. And now where things are at, old George, he's basically a pathetic liar, I guess. Lies about everything. Now you see how the show went from it was all about Anfisa, and now it has turned and it's now on George. And she is getting looked at as the better person now, as George is being looked at as the bad person because he does nothing but lie about everything. Does George have a child now? It's very possible. I don't really know if that's true or not, but it could be. I mean, he's lied about everything else, right? Supposedly. Or is that all part of the show? This, guys, is basically how these shows operate in the U.S., okay? These so-called reality shows that, in my honest opinion, it's not reality. These things are not really reality. I mean, some of this stuff could be true, but these producers, these writers in Hollywood, they know how to beef things up to keep a show on the air, to get the people to continue watching, to get great ratings, and that's where this show is at right now. It has gotten excellent ratings, and if anything, this is my opinion. I personally think that when Hollywood gets involved, it sets a really bad example. A bad example for the whole process. Because what it's showing is it's showing these people coming together, coming into this country, and all you see is arguing and fighting, and it isn't too often anymore that you're seeing a happy couple. It usually ends up where they're fighting and arguing about everything. At least this season, that's how it is portrayed, as everybody is fighting right now and they're not getting along. My wife and I, we have gone through that whole process, and I can honestly tell you, we have never had one argument or one fight over any of this, okay? We actually, here's the reality of it, okay? You want reality TV, let's do it in real life. In real life, if you get all your things in order, the things that they ask you for, okay, you're not going to have any issues. You're not going to have any problems. It's going to be smooth sailing. And that's exactly how it was for my wife and I. Here we were, 4.5, almost 5 years from the very beginning of this, and my wife is now a U.S. citizen. It is all said and done. We don't have to deal with USCIS any longer. It's all that done and over with. So they beef this stuff up. They beef these shows up. Supposedly, this coming Sunday, they have a tell-all. What is it?
Tell all.
A tell-all, which is usually the conclusion of the season, where, you know, they all sit together and they discuss this topic, this topic. Well, what about when this happened? Well, what about this? David, are you working yet? You know, that sort of thing. Let me ask you something. Out of all these reality shows, okay, and I was starting to talk about Little People, Big World, and I kind of got off track there. But it started out with them, where they were growing as a family. They were happy, and you watched their kids grow. What happens in the end? What happens in the end is usually what happens with all reality shows, with all the couples. It usually ends up with separation. Okay? Hollywood is no good. Okay? It's bad. If you want to, because basically, I think, in my opinion, what happens is you've now become in the spotlight. You are considered to be like a celebrity because you're on a national television show. People know who you are. Hey, I've seen you. Hey, you're so-and-so from that TV show. People know who you are. You have that, you know, you don't really have privacy anymore, okay? You walk out your door and it's like, paparazzi, you know, they're taking all kinds of pictures of you. That's the kind of lifestyle you get yourself into when you get involved with these TV shows. I personally believe that a lot of these reality shows is all hyped up. Hollywood turns it into what Hollywood wants it to be, and it usually ends up with separation, divorce, all those things. It's been proven time and time again. It is a fact. You just can't, I think with a lot of people, the superstardom status kind of builds and builds and builds, and you just want more and more and more of that. When, you know, I'll give you an example. I can't think of his name. The one son on Little People, Big World, he was the youngest brother. Can't remember his name. It's not Zach, and it's not the older brother, the one with the curly hair. It's not. It's not Zach. It's not the brother with the blondish curly hair. It's the younger one with the dark hair. He jumped out of the show. He jumped out of the show because he did not want that lifestyle. He didn't want any parts of it anymore. He said, the family you see on camera is not my family. That is not my family. That is the family that the producers in Hollywood want them to be. It is proven that they turn things into how they want it to be. So, I just thought I would talk a little bit about this show, only because there are a lot of us out there, guys, that are going through that process, and it may be entertaining at times, but in reality, it is really sad because it does indeed tear people apart. And you know, do you think these networks or these producers care? Heck no. It's all about money to them. It's about where they stand in the ratings, okay? That's all they care about. So that's pretty much all I got on this. I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about 90 Day Fiance. What do you think, honey? There you go. That's what she thinks. There's really not much to really. Like I said, we do watch it. We watch it because it is entertaining at times. But guys, seriously, it really. You know, we'll be sitting here and we'll be watching an episode, and we're like, what? Like, I can't believe they're actually arguing about this or that, or you know, because like I said, my wife and I, we've never experienced that. So that's all I got on this. Hope you guys liked the video. Hit that like and just keep it real, guys, and love one another. That's really important. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.